Today I want to share with you the life-changing truth about anger isn't just applicable to anger. It's applicable to everything you feel. But I want to just share with you why this conversation matters now, because you've clicked on this video for a reason. You see, the current energies are bringing to the surface everything that you ever suppressed consciously, but mostly unconsciously. It's a very rare thing that we say, I'm going to push away this emotion. It's a very rare thing that we do this from a very cognitive, conscious level. The suppressed stuff is the unconscious stuff. We're not narrating to ourselves what we're doing and where we're putting it. So it's that you don't even know that's buried. It's that comes up. It's that is surfacing right now because you're being cleansed, because you're being purified, because this life is a special life. It is known as an Ascension lifetime. It is one in which every life you've ever lived comes to completion and culmination. We all got the same upbringing, at least at the fundamental level, which was emotions are big and scary and you got to control them, otherwise they're going to control you. That hogwash stops now. Let me tell you what emotions are. They are waves of energy. They do not define you. They do not own you. So often we confuse our sense of self for what we feel. So we say words like, I am angry, I am sad, or even I am always joyful. These kinds of blanket statements are very worrying because what you're doing is you're saying, I am this thing that I feel, instead of I am feeling joyful right now, I am feeling sad right now, I am feeling a feeling right now, even if I don't know what it is. The idea that a feeling can define who you are and that your sense of identity becomes interwoven into that feeling is one of the most limiting, debilitating things that we can do. So let's unpick this. Let's disentangle ourselves from these false teachings that led humanity exactly where they were designed to go, into a state of suppression. This wasn't by accident. You see, you didn't do anything wrong. And it's not wrong to have had the experience of suppressed emotion, and certainly of suppressed anger. That's the big one I want to talk about today. I love anger. Oh gosh, I love anger. So number one, you didn't do anything wrong by learning suppression techniques or management techniques to manage your feelings. You did a really good job of being a 3D human, but you're navigating a path towards a higher consciousness now. Why? Because you're on this planet. This planet is hurtling towards ascension. Every day, everything that you do is ushering you to a specific point. And that point we call ascension, but really what it is the entering of a higher state of being, a higher state of experiencing yourself and life. So when you don't have a connection to yourself, it's very difficult to allow emotions to flush through you. That's where the confusion then happens, where you confuse yourself for your emotions. You first need to have an underlying sense of who you are. Now, that's a very, very deep topic. That's a very, very deep body of work to connect to who you are. I want you to know that that's at the fundamental, underlying level of everything that I'm talking about here today. That's why I have an online community, because that work to teach a person to connect to their depth, their essence, their breadth, their everythingness, their wholeness, to teach that is a life's journey. But you start it in the moment that you connect to your breath and stillness and presence and silence. So you can start it right now as you watch this video. That's why I have an online community for those people who really want the support to take themselves deeper on that journey. The second thing that you need to understand is best understood if you understand the nature of anger. The one emotion, it's kind of like, well, it's okay to talk about sadness, it's okay to talk about depression, it's okay to talk about all these emotions, but not anger. Somehow we got this idea that anger made us bad and it was wrong to feel and bad to feel. And spiritual people, good gosh, they don't feel anger. Huh? They're going to feel bliss. They're going to feel, see, this is what we did. We so short-circuited our growth by categorizing good emotions and bad emotions. So the stuff that we called bad, what did we do with it? We put it in a box and buried it. We judged We judged it. The moment you judge an emotion, you lock it into position inside of you. Now, these teachings I've got in a far more extensive format on my website, and I'm going to leave some information in the description box below. If you're on YouTube, you can read that. But to give you the basic overview, the moment you judge an emotion, you cement that emotion into you, into place. It's going nowhere until you release the judgment. You want to release the emotion, you got to release the judgment of that emotion. How do you release the judgment? By understanding that the opposite of judgment is not non-judgment, it's acceptance. So when you accept, I am angry. In this example, we're using anger. I am angry. The next confusion is what we've done with anger in the past is one of two things. We've either internalized it, so judgment number one, then we've internalized or externalized. Internalized anger is when anger eats you and you can't let it go and you're thinking about the thing that made you angry. And then externalized anger is very dangerous because that's, well, both are, but externalized anger is when you want to take someone down, you want to teach someone a lesson, you want to shout, yell, scream, project. Whether it's internalized or externalized, anger becomes a very dangerous force when it's not neutralized. However, when you have the wisdom to allow anger to course through your body, do you have any idea what you're working with? Do you have any idea what it's going to do? It's going to set you free. It's going to liberate you, because that is what anger is. Anger is the great liberator. It's a fire. It's fiery energy for a reason, not to destroy, to cleanse, to purify, to liberate. That is the gift, and it is a phenomenal gift. Let's talk about cancer. I want to talk about cancer because my mom died recently of cancer, and I've known many people, I'm sure you have too, maybe you've had cancer yourself, who've experienced cancer before. It's not wrong to experience cancer, doesn't again, look at that interesting phenomenon, especially in the spiritual community. Oh, I got cancer, I must have done something bad, I must be wrong. Let's drop the judgment, please. Cancer is an eating away. Internal, it's internalized anger. It's eating, and you feel like you don't have permission to let it out. So it stays inside and it destroys you from the inside. However, to cleanse cancerous thinking, not even necessarily physical cancer, to cleanse cancerous thinking, to cleanse yourself of any blockage, anger is the fastest way to do it. And I'm going to talk in a moment about righteous anger. Anger is the fastest way to do it, and everyone feels anger. And if a person says they don't, it's because they've suppressed it somewhere. It's a very natural force of nature. There's something called righteous anger, which is when it's right. In other words, it's fair to be angry. I want to give you an example of righteous anger. Righteous anger is when you experience injustice and you know it's injustice. You don't need somebody to tell you, well, it could be like this, it could be like that. You know, somebody's done wrong by me, by the world, pollution, toxic dumping. You should have righteous anger about these things. They're not okay. But what they do, if you allow them, instead of judge and suppress, if you allow them to be anger, you don't get to change anger into something else. That's a misunderstanding of spiritual teachings. Anger becomes something else, but you don't make it. So when a person says, oh, I turn my anger into calm. No, you don't. You allow your anger. You see, either you are being controlled by anger because you're suppressing it, in which case that's how it boomerangs. When you try to push it down or control it or tell it what to be, it is going to control you forever. However, because it's going to be a lifelong tussle, a lifelong battle with it. When you allow anger, it now has room to become its next highest state, because energy is always progressing and it's always moving, and anger wants to progress and move like all of your emotions do. So when you allow righteous anger to flood through your body, it unclogs, unblocks, it heals, it liberates, it frees you. It is the most divine, beautiful, powerful energy that you could ever work with. So then you get spiritual people who've been conditioned into this thinking that says, well, anger's bad and I'm not allowed to have it. And if I do, it means I'm doing something wrong, and I'm good and I want to be good and I want to be loving and do good by others. So I'm just going to put all of that bad stuff away, which means those cancerous thoughts, the pain, the difficulty, the blockages, the whatever it is that needs to be healed is going to stay stuck inside. Anger, think of it in the volcanic sense that it is going to burst right through you. But when you're not afraid of it, when you understand that emotions don't define you, they're literally waves of energy. And rather than saying, well, I'm going to go to a healer to heal me, or I'm going to heal myself with gold light and positive thinking, do you understand you can also heal yourself with anger? The very thing that you're trying to suppress is actually there to heal you. All emotions, every single last one of them, is there to liberate you and heal you. I'm only describing anger because it's such a potent, powerful one. But all roads lead to Rome in the case of emotions. Every single last one of them are going to lead you to your divine, sacred, neutral essence self. Every single one of them will evolve and transform and become higher expressions. Anger, once it's liberated you, is going to transform into power. So when you're suppressing anger, you're suppressing power inadvertently and unknowingly. That's what you're doing. Never be afraid of your emotions. They are not bigger than you. They never will define you. Now, I'm pretty sure somebody's going to have this question. They're going to say, well, are you suggesting then that I just go and punch somebody in the face? No, because that's externalizing anger. I'm suggesting that you be responsible with your emotions and feel them. Actually feel them. Without judgment, without shame, blame, and condemnation, that you allow yourself to engage in the very thing you came here to do, which was the experience of this flow of energy, which we call emotions. And by the way, feelings and emotions are two different things, and you might want to be aware of that as well. A feeling is the original. What we call an emotion is actually a feeling. It becomes an emotion when it becomes congealed and judged and stuck inside of you and repeated. Then it's an emotion. It moves you. Energy in motion. Emotion moves you. So it's a feeling that's got congealed and stuck, and it's now directing you. You become, that's why I said you can't manage your emotions. They will manage you. You become beholden to them. They become the authority of you when they'd have no passage through you. Every disease wants passage through you. Every emotion wants passage through you. And only when you understand that you are uncorruptible, untaintable, when you are sovereign, powerful, and free, when you are always, always gold light energy, no matter what. I'm gold light energy. Do you think that anger can't come through me? Because baby, it can. And guess what I'm going to be during and after? Gold light energy. Gold light energy with a wave of rage, perhaps. And the interesting thing is, when you allow these waves to flush through you, they go so quickly, they dissipate so easily, that in the end, they become discharged so much that there's very little left. So you'll see me go into anger, perhaps, and I won't handle it necessarily in the way that I used to 10 or 20 years ago, where that rage would blind me. You'll now see me handle anger in a way that you wouldn't necessarily know I was angry. Not because it's being suppressed, because it's being dealt with very instantly, very quickly, very powerfully, and I'm letting it course through my body. It's a very physical, all emotion, all feeling is a very internal, physical thing. It's an experience, but it needs the passage, the safe passage out of you. So many people are in this idea of pushing away and pushing down their emotions, and it is going to cripple your growth. The current energy is bringing everything to the surface. So it's like fighting against nature, fighting against the universe, if you're going to insist on pushing it back down again. When it comes up, breathe your way through and know that you are you and not the emotion. The emotion is only the wave, and the wave gets discharged when you let it freely pass through you. Check out the video description box below and watch this next video. It's going to continue a little piece of this conversation. Lots of love. Bye-bye for now.